Welcome to Self-Care Society. Welcome to Winning the Week. My name is Danika Brysha. I'm going to be your guide for today's session. How's everyone doing? Let me open my chat so I can see. Where's my mouse? I've lost my mouse. There it is. Okay. Let's see. How's everyone doing? Good morning, Kristen, Caitlin, Kim, Monica. Hi, Carrie. Hi, everyone. Well, welcome. I just got back yesterday from one of my best friend's bachelorette parties. It was in Bozeman, but we also spent a day in Yellowstone, which was just like, oh my gosh, so freaking beautiful. It was awesome. It was a little hard. First night of adjusting without mom here and all that. It was definitely like not the easiest thing, but we did it. And it was really beautiful. And thank you for all the love and support from all of you. I'm so appreciative. Okay, so our class today is called The Routines That Serve You. Now, this is actually sort of a version of a class I taught like maybe 3 years ago about routines. And I was kind of skimming through the outlines for some inspiration. And I always ask myself, I'm like, what do I need this Monday morning? And after coming home from traveling and all that, it's like, I would love some routines and some structure and some systems. And so that's what class is all about today, the routines that serve you. So it's a variation of a class I taught maybe 3 years ago on routines, but it was really interesting to see how those have evolved, especially now in the season of life I'm in with 2 little kids. My routines have changed, my rituals have changed. So hopefully it is a valuable 30 minutes, 25 minutes for you to look at kind of these rituals and routines and how they serve us, as well as kind of our white space and not just the traditional kind of like morning and evening routine. So we'll get into all of that. All right. So we will start with a quote as we always do. And it's a simple one from Jim Rohn and says, either you run the day or the day runs you. Either you run the day or the day runs you. So we are in Self-Care Society constantly attempting to live with more intention and to live a life that feels good to us, and to ask ourselves to take time to reflect and say, what do I want and how do I feel and all of that. And so this just sort of like solidifies what we're doing and what we'll look at today. And that's, we either get to choose how we want our day to go, or we can let the day boss us around, essentially. So let's try our very best. I know that life is unpredictable and we can't plan everything, but let's try our best to live very intentionally and spend our days, in the ways that we want to. All right. So our first exercise is a journaling exercise, and it's called reflecting on routine. So I will pop that in the chat for you here. And it says, take some time to reflect on routines in your life. Where do you feel strong in them? Where could you use more support? What routines might serve you? What's your relationship with routines, etc.? So this is just kind of like a brain dump to kind of get the juices flowing on this idea of routines. Okay, so my example, I said, I love having routines and rituals, and I feel like they really serve me as long as I leave flexibility, especially as a mom of 2 little ones. I've had to learn how to be really flexible and gracious in my routines, but I still think that they serve me. I do wish I could have a little more structure and predictability sometimes, but I know it's just this life season. I think I can find routines in places I don't always acknowledge, like the simple routine of taking most weekends off work or my office days on Monday, and so on. Okay, so we are going to take a few minutes to just kind of reflect on routines in our life, what they mean, all of that, and then we'll dig into kind of the practical stuff. All right, so about 3 minutes here. One more minute. One more minute. Start wrapping up. Come on back. Beautiful. So we're going to move into our next exercises, and as I mentioned, are a little bit more practical, a little bit more thinking about and clarifying specific routines. So this is a clarity exercise, and it's the routine that we most think of, which I think is the morning routine. So your ideal morning routine. Most of us find it easiest to accomplish a morning routine, and it's a great place to start. I want you to write out your ideal morning routine in whatever format speaks to you. You can simply brain dump things that you'd include, or get more specific with times. Okay, so whatever feels good for you. My example, I said, my ideal morning starts with me waking up after plenty of great sleep, ideally around 4 a.m. I know it's kind of wild, but I need some time before my kids wake up. This gives me an hour or two to myself before my daughters wake up. I make coffee and head straight to my workout area, starting with some stretching or yoga, then doing a great strength workout. When I'm done, the sun is rising and I sit on the patio, filling in my life sheet or gratitude, check-in prayer, and maybe doing some meditation. I also love to plan my day and set up my asana. So ideally I do that too. When we have live classes, I would take a live class. Once my girls wake up, I spend time with them outdoors before we sit down to a family breakfast and so on. Okay. So you're just kind of sketching out what your ideal morning routine looks like, the thing that you feel would serve you best. Okay. So we'll take a few minutes here and then we'll come back. Oh, one more minute, one more minute. Okay, come on back. Feel free to share in the chat if there's anything you want to share. We will move into our next exercise, which, as I'm sure many of you can predict, we're going to be looking at our evening routine. Okay, so these are the most common of the routines that we tend to think about. I think the morning one is the one we like first go to, and for me, that's easiest because I have more energy in the morning, and like by evening, sometimes I just want to lay in bed, and that's totally fine. However, I know for me, like something I'm working on right now is creating a little bit more of a nourishing evening routine, and it's been a challenge for me with little kids and kind of managing that schedule and prioritizing sleep, but I think it's possible even if in small ways. So this next exercise is all about, whoopsie, what happened here, there we go, is all about our ideal evening routine. Okay, so the success of your morning routine is dependent upon your evening routine. So we're going to look at this next. Make sure what you sketch out supports the rest and sleep that you need to execute on your ideal morning routine. So I often get people asking me how to wake up earlier, how to be a morning person. And my only tip for waking up earlier is going to bed earlier, because I think sleep is one of the most important things. So if I'm going to wake up at 4, I want to be asleep by like 8, and to make sure that I get enough sleep to support that, right? So when we think about executing on our morning routine, we have to then think about how we prepare for the next day, and that is essentially our evening routine. So my example, I said my ideal evening routine in this season of life is a healthy sit-down meal with my family, ideally outdoors. We do bath and showers, then we spend some time reading books, and the girls are asleep by 7. I'd love to have the final hour of the day to do some yoga or read or plan for the next day, browse cookbooks, just take some calm me time. I'd love to incorporate candles and essential oils too, and spend some time with my partner if our schedules align. The house is clean and I'm asleep by 8 or 8:30. Okay, so I'm not setting too high of expectations in this season. But yeah, just little things, little sort of slight adjustments that I can make that I think would be very nourishing. So a few minutes here, and then we'll continue kind of working on some of the stuff that we don't typically look at. About 1 more minute, 1 more minute. Okay, come on back. If you want to share anything in the chat, feel free. Always love to read what everyone does. And I think it's inspiring and gives us all ideas. So feel free to share at any point throughout this class. I'm just moving us along so we can get through everything. So our next exercise is an intentionality exercise. And this is one where we get to think about some of the routines that we don't typically maybe think about. So these are our midday routines. Okay. So now that we've made note of the two routines we think of most, it's wise to note that routines happen in small ways throughout our day too. If you were to create a quick routine for the following times, mid-morning, lunch, mid-afternoon, what would you do? Okay, remember these can be super quick. Okay, so we don't have to make these like huge elaborate routines, but just like a couple things, a few things that we can do throughout the day that would make a difference. Okay, so my mid-morning, I said I focus best in the morning. So if I'm working, I'd like to take the time to simply just walk on my desk treadmill, maybe think of one task I want to complete before lunch and the girls' nap time, maybe put on some essential oils, open my window, or even just take a quick stroll around the garden. I know for me that if I have a work day and I go out into my house, everyone needs me. So my routine in this context, given my circumstances, might just be something I do so I don't really have to like leave. So I can stay in this time that I feel most focused and most inspired, and I can stay kind of in that zone, but still give myself a ritual, right? My lunch, I said I stopped the lunch routine. I stopped to make a quick but energizing lunch for myself and the girls. We eat outside on the patio, then we play in the garden a little bit, and so on. You get the picture. Okay, so if you want more examples, you can read mine, but I want to give you time to do this. So we're going to take about 4 minutes to do this. So I want you to just give yourself a couple things that you could do mid-morning, lunchtime, and mid-afternoon. Okay. Hey, you can come on back. Noelle says, I make sure to take all of my work breaks as I know they recharge me to complete a better work. I drink plenty of water and check in quick on my partner or a friend. During my lunch break, I set a 30-minute timer so I'm not constantly checking the clock and give myself permission to get lost in my book while I'm eating. Oh, I love that. When I get home, I enjoy a walk with my sweet pup Rusty and enjoy the subtle reminders from nature. Ah, love it, Noelle. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Okay, my friend. So we have one final exercise, and this is called your white space. Okay, so some of you have heard me talk about white space before, but let me elaborate for those who haven't. So when I say the term white space, this is something I learned from my coach many, many years ago. And she referred to white space as the space on your calendar that is unscheduled. And sometimes, especially as life gets busy, I would schedule in white space, right? So I used to take a white space day when we were on tour in 2018 and things were so crazy. I took my white space day, which was like, I'm not on social media. I'm not like making any plans. I'm just like nurturing my soul for an extended period of time, right? And, our life goes up and down, and that's possible and sometimes impossible, but we can weave white space in so many different ways. Okay, so when I ask you about your white space, I just mean sort of the time that you have in your life to sort of free flow and do as you please and be unscheduled, even if you have to schedule in a block of white space time. So I hope that makes sense. Okay, so now with all these routines, I want you to imagine you have a day of white space, aka nothing planned or scheduled. How might you spend it? What would your ideal way of flowing? What would it be your ideal way of flowing through an open day? Okay, so my example, in the white space of my life, I like to spend time taking care of my space, clearing clutter, tidying things. I like to wander the garden and see how things are blooming. I love passing time with my kids, following them around, watching what sparks their excitement. I love to read in a hammock, try new recipes, plan trips and adventures, and so on. So you can also think of this as stuff that we don't typically plan to make the time to do. It just kind of fits in the margins. But I want you to think of it, kind of as if you had all this kind of white space. What would light you up? What would nourish you? Okay, so we'll take a few minutes here and then we'll wrap up. you're in flow, feel free to keep flowing. If you'd like to share anything in the chat, would love to hear it. That white space for me is always so nourishing, even though I feel like it's not as frequent these days. It's like so interesting to see how we spend our time when our time really feels like our own. And I know that in different seasons of life, that looks different ways, but hopefully you were able to clarify things for yourself. Now, one thing I would encourage before we wrap up here is that if you have the time, use the systems, whichever systems work for you. Maybe you use a calendar or Post-it notes or a notes app or a Asana or whatever it is, and take what you identified in class today and put it into a system that supports you in actually executing these things, right? And even if it's just little pieces, you don't have to go all in on everything right away. But how can you actually make time for these things? How can you realistically now take what you clarified in this class, the intention that you've set, and weave it into your life and take action on it? Okay, so I know we all do that in different ways, but I hope that it helped you feel a little bit structured and aligned as we move into a new week. It is such a gift to be here with all of you. Thank you so much for the chance to lead this class and to be with all of you live today, and then anyone watching the on demand as well. I'm so grateful for you. So I wish you an amazing, structure filled as well as white space and flow filled week. And I will see you again next week. All right, friends, have a great week. Bye.